Okay, Parshas Toldos again. B'schus refuah shalema. Noam Avraham ben Atar Shlomit. He is still intubated. He is still unconscious. The young man who was wounded last week so terribly. We should learn his chus. Yeshiva refuah shalema and all achenu kol beis Yisrael hanasunim batzor uvashivya. Ve'ena told us Yitzchak ben Avraham. These are the generation, the offspring of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham. Avraham holid es Yitzchak. Avraham bore Yitzchak. He caused him to be born. Now, the obvious question is asked, why do we have to say, as we just said, that Yitzchak's the son of Avraham? Why are we saying now that Avraham caused Yitzchak to be born? Like, it seems superfluous. And so, the Rashi gives two explanations. One of the explanations is that the cynical people in the generation were saying that Yitzchak wasn't really the son of Avraham and Sarah. Avraham's 100 years old. He is the son of Avimelech, the king of Plishtim, who had kidnapped Sarah and Sarah. Because Sarah was by Avram all those years and she never had a child. And suddenly, she gets kidnapped, she gets taken away, and shortly thereafter, there's a child. So the cynical people start saying, yeah, we know what's up. It wasn't really Avram who was the father. It was Avimelech who was the father. Now, if you're keeping track, and I hope you are, this wasn't such a good taina. This wasn't such a good claim. Why not? Avram didn't have trouble having children. Avram had a child 13 years earlier called Yishmael. Everybody knew that Avram could have children. The question wasn't about Avram. The question was about Sarah. So Avimelech really isn't relevant over here. But yet, the Leitzonei Hador, the cynical people in the generation, the people who try to influence the way you think, got up there and proclaimed that Avraham could not have children. So Yitzchak was completely identical to Avraham, and that kind of answered the claim. What was going on with that claim? What did they care? What did they care? And what's the benefit of Avimelech doing this with Sarah? Sarah was also over 90. Like, it was 90. I'm saying, like, what? Okay. So I want to just try to imagine for a minute what's going on. Who are the Plishtim? Plishtim in Parshas Noach, it tells us how they were formed, the Kasluchim and the Pasrusim, two nations who basically indulged in adultery, two member society, they swapped wives, their children became the nation of the Plishtim. The Plishtim were a nation that had been formed on adultery. They did not believe that things needed to follow a certain course. If you look in the Gemara, those who learn Sukkah, those who learn Eruvin, those who learn other Shabbos, there's something called a Mavui Mifulosh. Mifulosh means wide open. It's a road that's wide open. Plishtim believed that life has to be wide open. Whatever calls to you, go get it. Now, Avram was the person who had brought to the world, as we spoke last week and in the past, this concept of endless bracha, of endless bounty. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinite. He has no limits. He never runs out. And if you give rather than losing, you will gain by giving. Giving brings more bracha. Such a difficult idea. Now, Avram had tons of guests at his house. You all heard about it when you were kids with the four doors, and they come from every direction. And you see he's given these three desert wanderers that are actually malachim. He's given them like each one like an entire cow, the tongue of the cow, with mustard no less, says the Medrash. That's a different thing to talk about. And he's giving them all of this. Great to come to Avram Avinu's house. It is so great. He's going to treat you like a king, the royal treatment. I'm going to show you that God's bounty is unlimited. We don't hear much about Yitzchak doing this. In fact, we don't hear anything about Yitzchak doing this. We don't hear much about Yitzchak at all until he's giving the bracha to Yaakov. There's very little, a couple of interactions. Yitzchak, remember the big moment in his life. He gives himself up as a korban. He says, tie me tightly so I don't move, so I don't make the korban puzzle if I have to give up my life for God. Yitzchak did the opposite of Avraham. Instead of reaching out to the whole world, he set all of these boundaries. And they said, we don't want these boundaries. He's not the continuation of Avraham. You know what the continuation of Avraham is? Yishmael, no boundaries at all. That's a continuation. Yitzchak, he doesn't continue Avraham. The Torah says, Avram holed es Yitzchak. Avram gave birth to Yitzchak. I want you to help me with a little math over here. How long is a year? 365 days. What about a lunar year? Between 353 until 355. 353, 4, 55. The word shana, shin, nun, hey, is 355. Right? That's how long the maximum of a lunar year. Okay, if there's a leap year, it's another 30 days. So years, 365 days is the way we're used to thinking about it. How long is a year in yeshiva? All right, well, 10 months. Okay, let's start with 10 months, right? Why? Because it's 2 months off in the summer. Is it really 2 months in the summer? Maybe 2.5. 2.5. So how long is a year in yeshiva? 9.5 months. How long do we get off for Pesach? A month. 8.5 months. How long do we get off between Yom Kippur and Sukkot? 3 weeks. So what are we down to now? 7 3/4. How long we get off for Hanukkah? What about Tiyulin? Okay, so we're at like 7 months? Okay, how many days in a week? We got 7 months right now. How many days in a week? 7. How many days we have yeshiva active? 5. So what is it? We're down to 5 months. How long is the schedule of yeshiva a day? How many hours a day? Full schedule, if you keep the whole schedule yeshiva. 14. How many hours of learning? 1 second, let's start with how many hours of learning? How many hours of Seder? How'd you get 10? 3.5, 2.5, and 2 equals 8. 8 is 1/3 of 24. Our 5-month year has shrunken to, if we do every Seder, 8 hours of learning, 5 days a week. Wow. We just cut it in third. We just cut it again in the third. We're like 2.5 months. What's going on? How long is a year in yeshiva? Okay, so I want to, anybody know what a laser beam is? A laser beam, you know, that the lasers can cut, they can take down rockets, they can take down bombs, right? Laser beams are light bulbs that are focused. Super focused beams of light. Regular light waves kind of go like this. They squiggle. They don't go straight. They don't all blend together. They just create a concept of light. If all of the light that was in this room was focused into a single beam with enough energy behind it, take down a rocket ship. So powerful when you take all of that light and you focus it into a single beam. We talk about this a lot. Water jet cutter. You know what a water jet cutter is? They cut stone with water. Now, it's true that if you drop water on a stone for many years, like we know from Rabbi Akiva, it's true that it will eventually make a little bit of a hole, indentation in the stone. But with a water jet, if you focus that water, if you just put that water on top of the stone, nothing will happen. It could just stay there until it evaporates. But if you put it in a water jet cutter and you focus it on that stone, that same water will be able to cut through the stone, and it's used for all kinds of precision cutting. The focused water, the focused light. Yitzchak Avinu understood that all of the chesed Hashem gives and all of the bracha that we get has to be, if you want to guard it and make sure it doesn't just get wasted, you have to take it and focus it narrowly, strongly, and the engine behind it is the human being. And if you push with that, all of that light, all of that water, all of that potential blessing will be focused into a single powerful expression of that light or that water. And if you take that bracha, the guy has a year in Israel. How long is it? Well, it depends. What's he doing when he's not in the Beis Medrash? What's he doing when it's not official Seder? Is he spreading his life in different directions? Is he going off in all kinds of different places? Is he busy sitting there on his phone? Is he completely distracted because there's so many other things going on? Or is he saying, how am I going to use this year to maximize, to extract the most powerful bracha from here that will make a change not just for me, for my family, the kind of family I build, the kind of home that I build, the kind of life that I lead, how I'm going to raise my children and what I'm going to be able to give over to them. How am I going to change my community? How am I going to make a difference in the world? What do I need to do in order to take that year, which we cut down into 2.5 actual months of actual learning if we're in the Beis Medrash for every Seder, and turn those 2.5 months into a full year, into a full lifetime? Avimelech, Plishtim, they don't want Yitzchak to be the continuation of Avraham. You're taking away all the fun. You're taking away all the blessing. No, you're not taking away the blessing. You're taking that blessing and maximizing it by putting boundaries on it and focusing it for the goal that you need. And so Yitzchak, eventually Avimelech and his people come to him and they say, Lech me'imanu, go away, ki atzamta mimenu ma'od, you are too mighty for us. We can't handle your power. It's too intense, you're too much. We can't deal with this. And eventually they come and they say, we see that you are the one who is blessed by Hashem. You're the one who has that infinite bracha pouring into him, and you've learned how to channel it. So therefore the Torah tells us not only was Yitzchak called Ben Avram, but Avram holidus Yitzchak. Yitzchak was the continuation of Avram. He's the one that Avram gave birth to as a way of taking all that bracha that Avram recognized and focusing it and channeling it so he could increase the bracha. Gentlemen, have beautiful Shabbos.